Listen to my story. This may be our last chance. Too dramatic? Sorry, I couldn't resist. Alright, on with the show. Oh, and I should point out that I completed this on the PS3 version of the HD remaster. The PS4 version might have faster load times, I'm not sure, but the PC version of this remaster has booster options that could speed up the game and disable random encounters. And yes, I am salty that the PS3 port didn't have this available. In case you see anything of the boosters in the B-roll footage, just know that my plan to record footage from my old PS3 failed miserably. So I had to do some sort of dark summoning ritual to make my PS3 save files compatible with the PC port of the game, and then recorded gameplay footage from my PC instead. The trick I used to get this working unfortunately won't apply to the 13 trilogy of games, so I'll need to think of something clever for those clips later, because I am not 100%ing those games a second time. Well, anyway, right at the start of the game you're presented with a relatively meaningless choice between the basic sphere grid or the expert sphere grid. There isn't too much of a difference between the two, although the expert sphere grid is ever so slightly faster. This platinum trophy is way easier if you prepare ahead of time. There are some things that will become more difficult later on, such as the items that are blocked by the Dark Aeons. After a certain point in the story, Spira gets populated by the Dark Aeons, which are super bosses in their own right, that culminate with a final fight versus Penance. However, these Dark Aeons can also block a few key items once they become fightable. So absolutely make sure you grab those while the scene is safe. And considering Tidus is going to be one of the first characters you try to push into the overpowered territory, having to fight Bahamut before fully activating his ultimate weapon would be painful. And yes, that is actually how his name is pronounced. I'm about to impart some cursed knowledge upon you all. I've suffered it, so you have to too. His name is canonically pronounced Tidus. And yes, I also hate that fact, don't get me wrong, but I'm beholden to the cursed lore nonetheless. You see, I've played both of the Dissidia games on the PSP, as well as World of Final Fantasy on the PS4. Now that his name is fully voiced out, the other characters refer to him as Tidus. Don't blame me, blame Jack for giving his son such a shitty name. On the flip side, there are some things that will become easier later in the game. For example, the later you leave Blitzball, the better a pool of free agents you'll have to sign for when you start the game, because the B-State Aurochs are pretty terrible. This also helps Waka with his power spike later with the reels. Unlike in the previous trophy lists, this game doesn't require you to collect as many of the items or weapons throughout the game. You will need to acquire everyone's celestial weapon, however, but you don't even necessarily need to use its astrological sigil and crest to fully power it up, though you will almost definitely want to do this for at least Tidus and Yuna. Also, throughout the game you'll want to stack as many of the kills onto one party member as possible, preferably Tidus. It's a surprise tool that will help us later. In terms of things that are fully missable, the only real one is the Owl Bed primers for the Master Linguist trophy, especially the ones that are laying around in Home. It's a place you can only visit once, so make sure you get all of them while you're there. I also used to think the Anima Aeon was missable after a certain point if you failed to get the Destruction Sphere puzzle in Beville, but as it turns out, the Destruction Sphere is part of the Beville puzzle. I just always thought I was very smart for solving that as I exited. For the story progression, just make your way through the game as normal until at least the inner part of the Sin Dungeon. Sin Dungeon? I thought they'd closed that place down. You can make a save here to go back to the remaining post-game content later, if you would like to just finish the story first. You can complete the set of story-related trophies by defeating Braska's final Aeon, all of the Aeons that more than likely helped carry your sorry ass throughout the game, and finally you Yevon, in a fight that is almost, but hilariously not impossible to lose. You can cast Petrify spells on yourself to intentionally into this fight. Once that's done, you'll unlock the Eternal Calm trophy, as well as all of the story-related trophies that build up to it. For the side content, you're going to have to play a lot of Blitzball to unlock all of Waka's slot reels for the Blitzball Master trophy. This game doesn't really hold up, at least it didn't when I played it back in 2014. Maybe the evolution of games like FIFA and Pro Evo between 2001 and 2014 really changed how I viewed sports games. I remember really liking that minigame as a kid. I'd put a lot of hours into Blitzball. Learning the jet shot early can make the Blitzball minigame much simpler. There's a trophy just for learning it, but if you do miss it, you can just reboard the boat later to learn it again. You'll also need to spend at least 100,000 gil in bribes with Riku. This is pretty handy if you're farming spheres later in the game anyway, but it's just something to keep in mind. You can also use Riku to cheese a lot of the early post-game content by using her mix overdrive to get a trio of 9999 going. For the monster arena, you have to collect 1, 5, and 10 of every enemy in the game, which is an absolute slog, and they can only be captured with a relatively weak weapon that has the capture ability on it. This is doubly handy because it also unlocks the fight against Dawntrail, which is fantastic for power leveling. Dawntrail has a move called Karma that deals damage that is 100 times the amount of enemies that person has killed throughout the playthrough. In other words, it's an easy way to receive a lot of damage. You can also set your overdrive style to increase overdrive when you take damage, or when one of your allies takes damage. You can then equip a weapon that converts the overdrive into AP. And then to make those gains faster, you can have double overdrive and double AP, or triple overdrive and triple AP. Unfortunately, you can only stock 99 sphere levels any one time, so you will have to keep using them as you get them. In maybe a minute's worth of farming, you can get up to 99 sphere levels and run around the sphere grid as fast as you want. Some of the other creatures you unlock from the monster arena are also pretty good for farming, such as One Eye for certain spheres. For the cleanup section, you'll have to go to the Thunder Plains to dodge. You'll have to go to the Thunder Plains to dodge 200 lightning bolts. If you hated jump rope in Final Fantasy IX, and I know I did, then I hope you enjoyed dodging lightning bolts in the Thunder Plains for a trophy. The first time I got a good run going, I ended up on 199 before getting hit, which was pretty rough, but I found it funny at the time, and just doubled down to get a better run going. I think ultimately I got 206 or something the next time I went for it. Once you get the rhythm going for it, this one really isn't too bad. The timing window is a lot more generous than jump rope ever was. And luckily it's very consistent, whereas jump rope kept getting faster at certain breakpoints. There's a little crater that you can get close to that has an increased chance of spawning a lightning flash. So if you're preempting it appearing, it's much easier to react to it rather than running around randomly in the field waiting for it to happen many seconds apart. Honestly, the butterfly catching minigame in Maclania Woods was far more annoying than this one. Remember, the Chocobo time trial timer has to be under 0.0 seconds. If you get exactly bang on 0.0 seconds, you do not unlock this trophy, which is very fucking annoying, let me tell you. Remember to buy every sphere at Luca Theatre, which I completely forgot existed until the end of the game. You have to learn all Blue Mage skills for Kimari, for the appropriately named Learning! Trophy. Remember to go around Spira to collect all the Ject spheres, and then cry that Squeenix never made a prequel game featuring Ject or Nebraska. In terms of pure skill, probably the hardest trophy in the game is the Chocobo Master Trophy, to get 5 treasure chests during the Chocobo race at the Remian Temple and still win the race. Sometimes you just need to go at it again and again until you get the run going, but until then it's just sheer pain. The controls for the Chocobo were just so wonky though. Once you have access to the airship and can explore the rest of what Spira has to offer, the best thing to do would be to focus on getting all of the celestial weapons, sigils and crests. Oh, and of course the celestial mirror to activate all the weapons. These all have amazing perks that can help with getting a foothold into the post-game, not least of all for the break damage limit bonus. The biggest grind in this one, however, is entirely the sphere grid. You see, you have to complete the sphere grid. And when it says complete the sphere grid, it fucking means complete the sphere grid. It isn't just enough to light up every node that's available to you. You also have to fill in the empty nodes and also light those up as well. And where there's key locks, you have to unlock those, which then leaves an empty space where a new sphere can be added, and that also has to be activated. And this isn't just for one character, this is for all 7, so you're going to be grinding this a lot. If anyone ever asked me what I was doing during the FIFA World Cup 2014, it was this grind. At that point, it's just down to beating the 2 super bosses. Now, I hate the sphere grid grinding because in theory, after a certain point, the stats are diminishing returns. Their true test is in defeating the super bosses, Penance and Nemesis. And in fact, the better your stats are, the easier that becomes. So instead of rewarding you for over-preparing for these fights should have been the test of your knowledge and completion of the game. Now, I don't know if it's just me, but I found Nemesis to be way harder than Penance. Penance is a very slow, steady, repetitive fight. As long as you play it safe and remember what you're doing and keep to the pattern, even though it's a 30 to 40 minute fight, It's a very safe and consistent 30 to 40 minute fight. Whereas Nemesis, at some point you just gotta YOLO that fight. And to be fair, if you can defeat the Dark Aeons that are required to unlock penance anyway, you can probably take penance at that point. And if you're truly stuck, Yojimbo Zanmato Clutch, the trophy still unlocks, just throwing that out there. Oh, where's my platinum trophy? I did all the trophies for Final Fantasy X. Oh right, you have to view Eternal Calm from the main menu. This is a pretty cool interlude that explains what happens between 10 and 10-2, which also makes sense of a lot of the early parts of 10-2, especially the characterization of Riku and Yuna. Ah well, enjoy that sweet, sweet platinum and move on to 11. Here's where I put my Final Fantasy XI Platinum Trophy. If I had one. Now I know what you're thinking. So no 11, huh? Well, it was either Final Fantasy X-2 or maybe one of the spin-off games that features characters from Final Fantasy XI. So naturally, yeah, I have actually done both. But I'll put the spin-offs in with 12 so it feels a bit less lonely, and I'll focus on X-2 first. It's time to look inwards and ask the important questions, like,
that's the girl, man. You gotta get down Final Fantasy, bro. This thing is unbelievable.
I can't believe they turned Yuna into Madonna for this game. Has anyone else ever noticed how perfectly her dancing and singing here lines up to Madonna's La Isla Bonita song? Just me? Okay, just me. Also, I know that's not technically Yuna on stage, confusing as that is. Now this trophy list is very simple to explain, and that's for one major reason. This game has an in-game completion marker, and there's a trophy for getting that number to 100%. Unfortunately, that is a very difficult task. The game gives you a lot of flexibility in picking out the order in which you do story events in. However, depending on what order you do them in, you can actually lock yourself out of some of the progress for this percentage meter without any warning. The gold standard is to follow the 100% story guide written by KG21 on GameFAQs.com. The guide is from 2005, but it's still perfectly fine to follow for the HD remake. The only thing I noticed is that about halfway through, the percentage tracker in the guide wasn't matching what I had in my game, but it realigned itself at some point, so I don't know what happened there. Could be just specific for the remake. However, in general, you want to make sure that you're matching that percentage value to a T, because you do not want to have to go through this game a second time, just throwing that out there. There are some missable trophies, but quite often they're tied to the 100% story completion anyway. Just to give an example, there's the trophy Dancing Queen to obtain Magical Dances Volume 2. For this, you need to do the Bikino Island digging minigame to collect parts for the experiment enemy. Once it's powered up to level 5 for each of its attack, defense, and special stats, you then have to fight it and defeat it to obtain the Magical Dances Volume 2 item. And yes, I only really included this one as the example, since it's an ABBA reference and ABBA Gold has given me severe PTSD over the years. There's also the trophy Good Listener for fully hearing out all of Machen's history lessons on all occasions you can talk to him. The 100% guide I followed added in all caps to specifically place the controller on the floor and to never touch anything during these scenes to ensure that they play out completely. But I could swear that at least one of them pops up a dialogue box halfway through, Netflix style, to make sure you're still there and paying attention. For lifetime support, you'll need to view one complete Fiendtail. This is another trophy to manage earlier in the game, as it'll level up once automatically at the end of every chapter. You need to get a monster to level 5 to view all of its Fiendtails, so if you capture an enemy in chapter 1, then it's basically a free trophy. Otherwise you'll have to spend more time grinding it. I did this with Cactuar and got a Fiendtail where Jet taught a Cactuar how to blitzball. I don't know what else to say about that, it's just a weird story, and I assume all the rest of them are equally weird. Oh boy, another Blitzball trophy. Yuna will never be balling. Oh shit, what? You only need to win a single game of Blitzball, so it's not nearly as much of a slog as the Final Fantasy X trophy was, though. I still preferred the Sphere Break minigame, but then again I am biased because I'm something of a mathematician myself. This minigame also was a trophy for winning 10 games of it. You'll need to win at least 4 of these during the Sphere Break tournament anyway, since the prize there is a missable dress sphere. Speaking of minigames, there's also Gunner's Gauntlet in Besaid. I actually like this minigame for a strange reason. If you are stuck in this one, there is a pocket where you can place Yuna such that she can't be hit by the onrushing enemies. Then it's just free eats until you hit the score threshold and run to the finish line. Another quick cleanup trophy is the Full Chain trophy. This is to get a 99 chain attack going. There's probably a few decent ways to get this naturally over the course of regular gameplay, but I can't fathom hitting a 99 chain without 3 gunners using trigger-happy level 3 to pump out a lot of small attacks in a short period of time to rack up that chain number. The big super boss trophy of this game is to defeat Trima in Via Infinito. This used to be way easier in the PS2 version, as there was a trick you could use with the gunners and the skill Catnip. That was removed in the HD remaster, even the PS3 version of it. You also have to fight another mini-boss right beforehand named Paragon, but this should be a breeze if you're able to get this far in Via Infinito anyway. Honestly, this is where I realised the encounter rate in this game is completely and utterly terrible, so it is one of those ones that will be much easier in the PC version. Trima is way easier if you have 3 mascots, or even just 1 or 2 mascots plus something that can dish out decent damage like a Dark Knight or a Samurai. I also use Lady Luck dress spheres a lot just to dodge cheese a lot of the easier enemies in the game. You also have to complete Shinra's Bestiary. This includes getting every oversold subject. If you're familiar with the concept of last ones from Final Fantasy XIII 3 Lightning Returns, this is very similar. Once you defeat a certain amount of a specific enemy type, you can then encounter an oversold, powered up, juiced up final boss version of it. Luckily you don't have to defeat this, you can just run away from it, but you do have to see every single one of them in battle. This is pretty handy to grind out during the Via Infinito grind, since you have a lot of enemies you have to get through over the course of that dungeon. After that, all you have to do is defeat Vegnagun and Shuyin, this fake Tidus lookalike. To complete the story 100% to collect the last trophies you need for the platinum, and there you have it. Wait, where's my platinum trophy? I did 100% of the game. What the fuck is last mission? Utisur Tower. I do not miss you at all. Remake. We gotta talk. You can't make me play a roguelike this many Final Fantasy games in. Final Fantasy's taught me to always hoard items and to never use them. They might become more valuable later. You can't make me find randomized items and have to use them constantly. This is so counterintuitive to my JRPG brain. At least to me, Dark Knight is the best dress sphere in this mode. It's a tankier option overall, and it can combine with a lot of the other dress spheres to provide protection against insta-death and doom spells that would absolutely suck to lose a run to. It also gives you the ability to use Doom, which is very useful against some of the bulkier enemies that you have to fight later on. This even goes for the Mega Tonberries when going for the Tonberries Treasure Trophy. For this one, you'll need to find several Find Secret Room folios, starting from floor 61, to detect specific rooms relating to the Tonberries. This is much easier if you have enough save folios as well so that you can save scum it. I'm also very glad that I read a guide ahead of time for what the fuck I was supposed to do to progress past some of the seals on these floors. Like the one on floor 75 has 5 unique seals, and to break each of these you need to do the following actions. Attack the air 5 times, pass 5 turns, defeat 8 enemies, drop 3 items that you can pick up after, and throw 3 items, which is distinctly different from dropping items though you can still pick them back up. The guide was especially handy for figuring out what the fuck I was supposed to do from floor 79 onwards, because you don't just go to floor 80, you have to let the founder attack you on that floor. That being Trema basically playing the role of the Reaper from Persona 3, in that he spawns in if you take too long on one floor. Instead of taking you to the entrance of the dungeon, he takes you to floor 77, completely arbitrarily, and you have to wait for him to spawn again until he drags you to floor 80. For the final boss, Quatuor, I hope that's how you say his name, this boss has 3 phases with 4,000 HP for each phase. This is an absolute slog, and I was more than likely underleveled for this, I'm not gonna lie, but I had access to Mini Demi, which absolutely shreds past his HP. At that point all you need to do is have Confused Proof and just tank it out. To save you the suffering of ever having to go through this game mode, the treasure at the top of Utisur Tower was literally the friends we made along the way. It was just a friendship thing, like the entire time. That's how the game ends. Though luckily it did give me a sick AMV final credit sequence that helped with the B-roll a lot for the previous sections. So if you figured out that I was doing that earlier in the video, good job. Enjoy that shiny platinum for Final Fantasy X-2, and then seal that box away and never play that shit ever again.
Sometimes, when I got a lot on my mind, it just helps to go, "Ah!"